Are you having trouble with your multicam clips in Final Cut Pro? Well, I'm going to walk you through some of the possible issues you might be hitting. Coming up. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. If you're new here, please consider subscribing below. We put out new videos every single week. Alright, so right here I have a wrestling show that we did. So what you'll do is you'll have all your clips. I separate them into different events, but however you organize it is however you organize it. So I'm just going to grab this one clip, and I already have my markers set for the part I'm going to pull in. And then I have them on this hard camera as well. So there, and my fan cam. So what I'll do is I'll select both of those. I'll go up to File, New Multicam Clip. Now, the mistake you're probably hitting is the one I always forget. And when you import these clips with your SD card, a lot of times by default, if you go here under the inspector here and hit the info button, the camera name will show up as untitled. And if you have two camera names that are showing up as entitled, it's going to assume it's the same camera and therefore put both clips back to back instead of one on top of the other. So right here, I'll just call this hard camera. And if you see here, for my fan camera, I already have that changed. So now I can go ahead and select these. File, New Multicam Clip. And I'll just go ahead and throw it here. And I'll just call this Test. And so you have a bunch of different settings here. I leave everything pretty much automatic. Just make sure it matches all of your project settings. I do 1920 by 1080, but if you're doing something different, you can go ahead and change that. And a big one I always use is use audio for synchronization. Now, if you don't have audio on these cameras, even if it's something crappy like a GoPro, you're gonna be in big trouble because it's not gonna be able to sync. That's the way it kind of figures everything out. So I would recommend, even if you're using a GoPro, make sure your audio is enabled because it can pretty much pull anything as long as sound is in that same area. Go ahead and hit OK. And once that finishes, you can go ahead and select it. And I always go to View and Angles. And right here I have the two angles. Now don't get worried if you don't see the image right away. So what I'll do is I'll actually scroll to a different project here. I'll just add it to the end of this for a second. Add it here. Now, as you can see, as I scrub through the timeline, it will be all synced up. Now, if for some reason you're pulling, if you see right here, you have your icon for your audio and your video. Now, typically I don't want my audio being this close to the people. So what I'll do is go back to the start of the timeline. And I'll just go ahead and select the audio icon right here. And I can change it right to my hard camera. And then it'll pull the audio from my hard camera. Now, if you keep both of these selected, it will change the audio every time you make a cut. So it'll go back and forth between the two cameras. I think that doesn't necessarily sound great depending on the application you're using it for. So I typically will pick one sound and then I'll just cut video after then. Move. And obviously you can play this and cut it in real time. So those are just a couple of the quick tips and tricks that I use when I'm doing multicam editing. Like I said, I do this for pro wrestling, so I use this for pretty much every match we do. We have multiple different camera angles, and it's all focused on the ring for the most part, so this gets a lot of heavy use from me. That's all for this video. If you found it informative, please subscribe below and beat the shit out of the like button, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.